That ambulance is for all the people who tried to cancel me.
Someone is too beautiful, their intellect is underestimated.
It is no karma, it is no curse, or there is no black magic or voodoo.
I'm being judgmental because I'm projecting.
I think that was maybe the darkest phase of my life.
One story, one downfall, one epic comeback. This is not a podcast. This is an uncancellation ritual because we don't believe in cancellation. Welcome to Cancelled to Crowned with Sohini. Our guest today joins us not just as an actor, but as someone who fearlessly presses the reset button of life with hope, faith, courage, and action, welcoming the one who has never been afraid to break the mold. Arjun Rampal. Hi, Arjun.
Hello, Sohini.
Thank you so
You're
much.
Dr. Sohini.
No,
Just
just
Sohini.
Sohini. Yes,
Okay.
I'm a psychologist, not a doctor.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on Cancel the Crowd with Sohini. The show is basically about giving hope and helping the audience reclaim themselves when they hit rock bottom.
I have no idea why you've called me then.
You will find out as we talk. You definitely have reclaimed yourself through a lot of headlines and your journey. And you're here, shining, working, showing up, and that's so beautiful. But I want to start with the basics. Let's get real. You're gorgeous. You are probably one of the most beautiful men in a room at most times. And I'm sure you heard that a lot. Do you think that your own beauty has shaped your identity in any way?
Wow. It's a really wonderful way to start, isn't it? You just embarrass me and then... So well done. You've done that. You've achieved that. But honestly, the way I am, the way I look, I think the credit goes to my gene pool, whichever I come from. It should go to my parents. It's got nothing to do with me. Who I am as a person, and if this has affected me to become in a particular way just because of my appearance, I don't know. What I am like in a room is basically I am a lot of fun. And if I'm hosting, there'll be good food, there'll be good music, there'll be great conversations, there'll be people who can laugh at themselves and get a mickey taken out of themselves, and I can laugh and they will take the mickey out of me. So we have those kind of friendships, and those are the people I hang out with. I don't know how it has, I guess, yeah, sure. When you have somebody saying like how you've introduced me, I guess a lot of people have said, oh, you're good looking, I was a model, you're kind of aware of that, and it has its advantages to a certain level, but those advantages take you up to maybe a certain point.
Yeah.
Right? Post that, it really depends on the conversation that you have with that person. And will it go from that point to somewhere else? Really depends on who you are from within.
Absolutely.
And I think that keeps changing and that keeps evolving. And it continues to do so even today.
Yeah, that's so beautifully said, though. At the end of the day, what you are reflects through, and that's what carries you forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's something you have to work on yourself
Yeah.
about.
That's a non-negotiable.
No, yeah,
self-work.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a bias in psychology is when you're too beautiful, your cognitive capacity, your intellect is underestimated. Have you ever felt that your beauty has overridden your intellect? And if there's a story that you could share with us.
Well, I mean, personally, myself, I have totally underestimated beautiful women sometimes, and have been made to we stand corrected. But I think the ability to be able to observe without being judgmental,
Yeah,
okay, is the highest form of intelligence.
absolutely.
And I think Mr. J. Krishnamurti said that, and that's something which kind of stayed with me, and I kind of practiced that. So if you can observe without being judgmental, okay, you are in a good space. Of course, you go, especially in my line of work, you are exposed to situations in your life where you have to go to these parties, the social parties, you don't even know of certain people, and they, because you're kind of known or famous, or you look in a particular way, which I'm sure a lot of other people also must have experienced, you do have these people who kind of come around you and use their psychology, to rattle you a bit by, just talking about your looks and kind of giving snide remarks if there's just anything up there between your two ears. And, honestly, I just found those kind of people extremely shallow. And I kind of avoid them.
You avoid people who are judgmental about you because of your looks.
I don't avoid them. Like, I mean, if there's nothing more for them to say, and
Yeah.
there is a certain, you know how it is when people come, they're like hyenas, they circle you, they try to say something. Actually, what I do at that point in time is really brilliant. It is, I play really, really dumb.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. And I make sure their hearts are broken.
And then? What do you achieve out of breaking someone's heart?
Nothing. I don't achieve anything out of breaking someone's heart. I just find it very stupid. I find it a waste of time. What I achieve from it and what I understand from it is that maybe I'm just not made out for those kind of social gatherings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have also seen it a lot when someone is too beautiful, their intellect is underestimated, and people are not willing to look beyond, especially for women. They don't want to look beyond the intelligence, and that is something that I truly do want to break. And you so beautifully said, to observe without judgment.
Yes.
Allow the person to come through. And judgment is something that can't really be avoided, but maybe be more mindful about your own judgments.
I think you, the minute you make a judgment and you come into a conclusion in your own mind, you stop learning. You've kind of already come to a point where you have decided.
Yeah.
So what lies there, what you're missing, is your loss.
Yeah.
So I think people who are judgmental are always in the negative.
Yeah.
People who are neutral, in fact, go a much longer way in life.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I shared this experience in my last shoot many years ago, about 10, 15 years ago. I was doing a silence program in the Art of Living, and through the day, at some point, it hit me that I'm quite judgmental. And there's a botheration box that's there in front. It's a basket.
Right.
And I took a piece of paper and I wrote the word judgment about 100 times over 3 days. And I kept folding it and placing it in the basket. And just that act in itself made me so aware of my own thoughts that every time I was judgmental after that, I said, oh shit, I'm judging.
Yeah.
And then the judgmental, those judgments tip me back to my own triggers. I'm being judgmental because I'm projecting.
and being judgmental because this is something in me that I probably don't want to see. So this was my process of
Yes, so I
working
think
through
it's
judgment.
also an action, right? A judgment is an action. So the minute you put out an action out there, you have to stand by it then, and it's limiting. So I think anything which is limiting is something which, in a world of absolute infinite opportunities, and we are what? We are little specks or dust in this whole uh, cosmos that we live in. We give ourselves so much importance. I think to take it easy on that is a good thing, which hopefully I think people like on social media and all of that have become extremely judgmental. It's very easy for them to do it. And my advice to them is take it easy. Do something with yourself. You have a life. What are you, which is the most precious thing gifted to you? What are you making of it?
By focusing on me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Or focusing on something which is irrelevant.
Yeah. So beautifully said. I think a purpose gives us direction, focus. It gives us a path to work on, and that's probably the best way to steer away from judgment, right? To focus on your own purpose. Arjun, I want to go back to the boy you were. What were his dreams and his aspirations?
Me as a kid?
Yeah.
Ah. I was a very, very painfully shy kid. I was a complete mama's boy.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
sweet.
Yeah. And I would freeze in front of grown-ups, especially like uncles, aunts, grandparents, all of that. I would just like freeze. And it took me a lot of time to, but if with my siblings or if it was my cousins or whatever, and nobody was watching, then I would be wild. Like, yeah, completely the opposite. And I had a lot of energy. I loved playing sport. I came from a very small town, so there were no such thing as video games and television and all those things. So I really, really did enjoy, and I remember that quite clearly, because my mother had a wonderful imagination, and she would teach me how to keep myself not bored, which was to make up these imaginary stories about whatever and use the imagination. And so I would have these imaginary stories and I would live them out and I would act them and I would dress up in a particular way and I would, really become those people. And I think I was quite mad and stupid and crazy like that. And but yeah, it was a lot of fun growing up. I made then slowly, I started to make a lot of friends, and I know I used to have a lot of fun with them. We were extremely naughty as kids, extremely naughty, got into a lot of trouble. And yeah, so, but I was a complete mama's boy. And
That's
yeah.
so adorable.
Yeah.
Are you still?
She's not there with us anymore.
sorry to hear
But yeah, I think I am now, I feel her with my kids,
Wow. Wow.
like how I was brought up.
That is so wonderful. I love it that you're saying that you're her with your kids and not just him. You're also taking a part of her with you.
Yeah.
And that brings in that softness that even a father carries as a parent.
Yeah.
And you're able to do that because you're carrying her with you.
Yeah, for sure.
What is the part of her that you're carrying the most?
Well, I think she was one of the most kindest people I ever met and came across. She was a school teacher. And in fact, she used to teach my class also, which was extremely embarrassing.
Oh my God, that is my dream. I always wanted my mom to be my teacher.
But no, because I was such a kid who could, and she absolutely doted on me. Okay. And was really hysterical because I refused to go to school. So she took a job in the school so that I would go to school.
And she's the only one who could tame you. So you were in her class.
Yeah, and then I was in her class.
I don't know. I'm feeling sorry for her, finding her so cute.
But then as I grew up, I think she got kind of more obsessed than I did. And then she did a B.Ed. And so as I progressed through my classes, she also progressed. Okay, so she'd become my teacher for a few classes, like history and English. And that was a bit embarrassing then. Then I told her, Mom, take it easy.
I need some space.
yeah, I don't need you to come to
Yeah, because
college with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you grow, you start liking girls. You want to be free. You want to chat. You know, you need
I
that
mean,
space as a
it is just
teenager.
that you can't, in front of your parent, you're one person.
course.
In front of another teacher or whatever, you're somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And, but I mean, my mom, like coming back to her, all the kids in the school loved Mrs. Rampal, loved her. And she was amazing with children. And because of her, I mean, I even went and got a very good education in Kodaikanal International School and all of that. Well, she went and became a teacher there.
Even
That's
in
the only way we
Kodaikanal.
could afford it.
But that's brilliant.
Yeah. And so she had that foresight.
That's
and
beautiful.
that vision. I remember once I did this school race, and I usually was pretty quick because I had to run around a lot and everything. And I lost that year. And I was very, very upset. And she said to me, what happened? And I was like, I don't know. How did I lose? So she said, because that guy knew you were fast, and I'm sure he must have practiced. Did you practice? And I said, no, I didn't practice. And she said, well, the next time when you need to win, you need to practice. So I said, and how do I do that? So she said, get up earlier in the morning, run a little longer. I'll come with you. You can I'll time you and everything. And I was like, okay. So she'd wake me up 4 in the morning. She'd get onto the scooter and we'd go. I'd run. She'd come behind me on the scooter. And then how we used to measure 100-meter, 50-meter thing was through lampposts, on the street lampposts. Okay, they'd be on at that time in the morning. And she'd say, to run from this lamppost to that lamppost, and I'm timing you, that's about 50 meters.
That's a lot of dedication.
Yeah. And she'd time me, and they'd say, on your mouse, get set, go, and I would run. My sister used to come along sometimes, so she would get a lead, so that I would get faster, and she could also run faster. And at the end of it all, we did this for like a few months and 6 months, and then it just became a bit of a kind of a tradition and a thing that we went and we kept doing it. And nobody could touch us when we ran in school races. To the time when I went to Cody School, I remember I was running a 400-meter thing, and I'd never run 400 meters. And there, I was in 8th standard, but there they would take you according to your height and weight and put you into the divisions that you have to be in. It wasn't according to your age. And because I was taller and everything, I was put into the senior most category. The guys who were like running fastest there. And I was running against the school champion who was a 12th standard guy.
That's intimidating.
Yeah, and I was in the 8th standard or 9th standard, and I said, on your mouse, get set, go. So I said, I'll just run behind him, and then when he takes off, he takes off. Okay?
And did he?
And he just wouldn't take off. So I said, oh shit, this is the fastest he can run. So I smashed him, and I beat him. And there was a Mr. Fluke who was there, who was watching this. And he said, where did you learn to run so well? And I told him about my mom's stories. So he said, well, from tomorrow onwards, I'm training you. And he used to be the history teacher there, history professor, but he was this incredible German soccer player. So he knew all the techniques and everything. And then he took me under his wing. And then my training with him started. So it's incredible, like that one thing which my mom did for me while she was on the scooter for me and my sister, opened up so many different avenues just because we were consistently doing it. And the lesson to be learned there truly is anything you do consistently will always pay off
Always.
in a way which you cannot imagine,
Yeah.
So as long as you're enjoying doing it, and I really enjoyed running, I still enjoy running,
Wow.
and I continue doing so.
So your mom taught you how to turn a cancellation into a crowning. Through
Well, I guess
discipline.
so. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because you got cancelled when you lost the race.
Yes.
Through your friends, or maybe in your own head even.
Yeah.
But she said that there's no dead end. Come on, let's do it.
True.
And she didn't tell you. She did it with you.
Yeah.
So as children, we learn what we see, not what we hear. That is so, so beautiful. It makes me question my parenting right now. Maybe I need to take back something and be more involved. So thank you for that.
Oh no, you can thank my mom.
I will. Yes, but you're carrying it for me. Say thank you. So is that what you're carrying for your children as well? Being that and not just telling them?
Yeah, I mean, you try to the best that you can, but I think it's also rather than you enforcing. My mom wasn't a runner.
Yeah.
Right? She saw in me what I like to do. I think to observe again, without being judgmental,
Yes.
and understand what is it that the kid is really liking, enjoying to do,
Yeah.
and then to encourage that.
Yeah.
Because we all are unique. I think every individual that comes into this world is beautiful. Everybody is unique. And humans in generally are here to create. That's our innate quality. We come in here to contribute and to create and to make something.
Yes.
You have to find that. And each person, it will be completely different in. I have 4 children. So for me to observe each one of them and say, what is their quality? That innate quality, and then to encourage that is, I think, important. And then those things also keep changing as they evolve and as they grow up. So, yes, if they see something, I think to encourage it and to give your support in that is the best that a parent can do. To instill in them what we have not been able to do through our lives, you know what I mean, and try to push them in that direction is, I think, a bit unfair on the child.
Yeah. We're trying to fulfill our unfinished dreams through our children.
True.
That's so unfair.
And we kind of do that, and parents kind of tend to fall into that direction.
Without awareness.
I think they kind of are aware.
Or they choose not to be aware.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows what you're doing. That's what you would do. You think that this is your child, so he's going to do it. But
Yeah.
no, that person's completely different.
Yeah, that is true. So when you look back at yourself as a child, is there something that he's saying to you today? To you, the adult Arjun.
Oh, when I look back upon that child, I mean, there's nothing like, I love that child, right? I remember him as being an optimist, being fearless, about being a lot of fun to be around. And that child is within me. He doesn't need to say anything. When it has to come out, it comes out.
Yeah.
So I haven't killed that child
So you're
in me.
completely connected to him.
Yes, for sure.
Oh, it's so lovely. We forget about our inner child through life's journey. It's very easy for us to leave them behind.
That's if you become cynical about life,
Yeah.
right? I think that's important, to keep the child alive.
What kept him alive and what stopped you from taking the route of being pessimistic about life or fearful or blocked? Or...
Uh, See whether everybody goes through the points of highs and lows, and that is life. Anybody who tells you it's otherwise is lying to you. If you read the Vedas and if you think, I mean, the first thing they talk about in the Vedas themselves is that look at nature, right? What is it? You got bright sun. Sun pulls up moisture from the water, okay, creates clouds. When the clouds come, they cover the sun, okay, they create friction, there's thunder, there's lightning, people are petrified, there are floods, okay, everything gets destroyed, there's darkness, okay, and then the sun prevails again when the clouds have burst and everything is dispersed. How is life going to be a part of nature? Life is going to be the same thing.
And he's not pessimistic about the clouds or the water. He's still pulling it out.
Yeah, no, but you'd have to know that the sun will rise again.
Yes.
You know, the child in you, the optimist in you is the sun.
Yeah.
The good, the positivity, all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, that is what the sun kind of is. They run a parable to that. But these are the positives. The negatives become the clouds coming, bad thoughts, your bad habits, your bad ways that you turned into, all of that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you go into that, you go into a storm. And the thing is, you've got to weather that storm. You've got to come out of it. And when you come out of that storm, there is going to be bright sunshine at the end of it all. And the teaching from that would be ready for the next storm and know how to take shelter in the next storm. So create your shelters too. Don't just, and that is growing up.
Yeah.
And that is about evolving and understanding that not every day is going to be a good day.
Yeah.
There are going to be your low days, there are going to be good days, but that doesn't mean it's the end of anything.
It's not.
No.
It's not. There is no dead end.
Yeah. So you got to constantly be positive, optimistic, and work on yourself. So what are your bad traits, which is introspection, which is, I think, very, very important for everybody, and honesty.
So is there any practice that you do that keeps you in the present moment, keeps you optimistic, keeps your hope alive?
Yeah, I mean, what keeps, I'll tell you honestly, okay, what keeps my inner child or brings me back into connect with my inner child truly are my children. Because when I see them, it throws me into a flashback of memories of how I used to be, because you kind of see, it's an uncanny way, so much of you in them, So I call it the blink-it moments, where, you really need to cherish that time when they're like 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe pushing it till 9, till they're holding your hands and looking at you and are stuck with you and want to be cuddled and want to hear the bedtime stories and want to be tucked into bed and want you to be their protector. You should never lose that, because that is really what keeps you in touch with who you were. It brings back that memory of emotion within you and keeps you really real and grounded. I think so, and it has done that for me. It's really remarkable what happens, and then you suddenly, they've grown up and they've left your hand and then they're gone, and you really miss those moments. I've been so lucky, I've had it with my daughters. Okay, but the blink-it moment with them was the time when I was really, really trying to make it for them, so I kind of didn't get to spend as much time as I would have loved, even though I spent a lot of good quality time with them while they were growing up, and we took our holidays together and we did everything together, and we have some great stories together. But they grow up. and then you kind of are left, and then you try to evolve in your own way of finding, yourself, and being the man and the adult, and um, you know living like a grown up, and in that process, I think you will end up making the maximum amount of mistakes in your life, because you do get kind of desensitized towards the little joys of life and the blessings that you saw and came and cherished. And then I had these two, Arik and Arif, and now I'm living that Blinkit moment all over again. So
you are lucky.
so I am extremely lucky, to experience that again, and that is complete bliss to be living in.
It is.
I
It is.
enjoy that. And now it's very different because I live in Goa, and I moved there, and Gabrielle and I moved there very consciously because we both believe in the outdoors. We both believe in nature. We both believe in the child growing up in nature and not in a concrete jungle, where there is not much of activity for them to do, which and so it's a complete disconnect from nature. So we consciously made that move for our kids. I think it has worked brilliantly, not only for them but also for us, because we've been able to reconnect and rekindle and understand the value that nature brings, to your own evolution.
And the value that using your imagination brings
Yes.
right back to base, something that you experienced as a child, which our children are not getting to experience. At least mine aren't.
Yes, because you give them an iPad, you give them an iPhone,
Yeah.
you are busy. And what are you busy doing? I don't know. Everybody's in such a rush in India, but still we always are late. Okay. And everybody is, um, fighting on the streets to get to one place to another. There's noise, there's all of that. And I don't know, we're just running. And I've lived in the city for so long. And the city has given me a tremendous amount of things. So there's nothing negative I hold against it. But I just feel after a point, you're just running like a lab rat.
On auto.
Yeah. No, you're just running. And you're running in the same spot.
Yeah.
You're not going anywhere. So, and today with the way technology has kind of evolved, it has tremendous amount of pros, where you can finish off all your meetings, you can do your Zoom calls, you can have a script narration, you can, speak to whoever you want to speak to, wherever in the world, as long as you have good connectivity.
Yeah.
And you just take care of that, and that's fine. And then when you put it off, you're back in your little paradise where you can start working, like we said in the beginning. So we are all work in progress, right? So you start working on yourself again and utilize your time correctly.
And you do that with self-awareness.
Yes, you
And
do.
you can do that when you're not running like a lab rat.
Yes. So I think
So you create
that is
space.
how the child stays alive. To answer that question, that is how you keep yourself alive. That is how you keep. You got to. There was this movie. I don't know if you've seen it. It was called maybe I don't know. It was a cult film called Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
No? Okay. So it was this cult film, and it came out when I was in high school. And he says an amazing line in it, which again stuck with me forever. He said, "Life moves fast. If you don't stop and look around, you might miss it."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And that kind of stayed with me. So in this fastness of life and the pace of life, which we all want, okay, when we are young, and especially when you're young, and you don't feel like you're not moving fast enough, but actually the right movement happens when you utilize your time correctly, introspecting and understanding what is it that you really want to do. you know. And then saying, will I get bored of this? Asking yourself the question, will this thing bore me? If it's going to bore you, start looking again as to what it is that is your calling. And then find that.
And it may not bore me now, but it may bore me tomorrow. And that's an indication that I now need to transit.
You cannot stick with it.
Yeah.
You just can't, because you'll kill yourself. You'll be wasting your time, and you will always be working for someone else,
Yeah.
finally,
Or being,
and not for yourself.
or being controlled by your own fear. Because hustle culture and not slowing down also comes from fear.
I think it's a distraction.
Also.
Most things are distractions. So you will be able to analyze. If you're going to get bored, then you know it's just a distraction. If you realize that you're not going to get bored with this, then you know, okay, there's something for me to do. Now you make a plan as to how you're going to do it. And then work towards that plan.
Yeah. You know, I went through a phase where I used work as a distraction from myself.
From yourself.
My own thoughts.
Why were
my
you...
own loneliness. When I was transiting through life, I started working like a horse in a race course. I was just running on to achieve this and that and this and that. I'm still doing it with a different sense of awareness. But right before this stage, it struck me that I started moving at this speed because I didn't want to face my own self. I didn't want to face my own loneliness or my own void or my own fears. So I was distracting myself with overworking and overachieving. And I didn't want to slow down. Because the moment I stopped, I had to look at someone I didn't want to look at, and that was me.
Oh, well, that's good, but at least you were working and getting distracted. A lot of other people use other means to get distracted, which is not necessarily, which kind of impacts them negatively too. But I think any kind of distraction really will impact you in a negative way. Today, I think children or people, before they choose what they really want to do, should really take some time out, slow down, figure it out, and then put everything into it. Maybe that span would be 10 years. Okay, but at least you have a career, which is a good career for 10 years. It will help you to create a foundation, make money, understand how businesses work, understand what the responsibility of a job is, what it is about being accountable, and give you the confidence to then maybe dream a new dream. And there is no problem in that too, But I think to be distracted is doing yourself a complete disservice.
Yeah. It is.
I have been distracted, and that's where it is, which is where it comes from. And you do things then which you're not necessarily proud of, not necessarily it takes you away from your core being of who you are. And to face yourself and to understand yourself is the most important thing that you can do for yourself. To be honest with who you are internally. For that, you have to spend time on your own. If you can journal, I think journal, it's a nice way of finding out who you are and reconnecting with yourself. I usually start my day by looking at myself in the mirror, watching it, just staring and saying, do I like this version of me or don't like it, or what are the things which I don't like in this. You create habits. I think habits are very, very important. What kind of habits you create, if it is exercise, if it is how you eat, your diet, your hygiene, how you speak, how you carry yourself, how you um, spend time on a project given to you in the most honest way, all those things. If you can create routines and good habits, it becomes a part of you. So that's when those habits suddenly become a personality trait within you. The more you continue repeating it, okay? If you keep eating ice cream every day and that is a habit, okay, you're going to become unhealthy.
Correct.
If you run every day, you're going to keep running and you're going to start becoming a great runner. And then you'll be participating in a marathon, you'll be participating in whatever that you want to do. If you exercise every day, you're going to become a very healthy person. If you watch your diet, you're going to become a fit person. Now that becomes a, ref- a reflex after a point, the habit, right? It's not a chore anymore. It could start as one,
Yeah.
but the more you repeat it and consistently do it, it becomes a part of your personality. Simple example is a child, if you tell him, go put on a switch, a toddler,
Yeah.
the guy will put on every switch, right? He won't know what is on, off, whatever. But the minute he keeps practicing it, today when you walk into a room, you know where the switch is. In the darkness also you can put it on and you'll have the light. Similarly, it's a reflex. So the minute you make habits into a reflex within you, you are developing a great personality. So the more I would, since this is about, giving some kind of help to people, I would say create good habits.
Yeah.
The more good habits you create, the easier making your life.
Yeah. Habits are choices that we make for ourselves. And a great technique to make that choice is what you do. To wake up in the morning and look at yourself. So you begin with one, choosing yourself. You're connecting with yourself. And then on a subconscious level, even you know that this is what I need to choose for myself, because you're looking at yourself every day.
Yeah.
We are parents. We look at our children with so much love. Even intuitively, we know what they need. And that's the intuition that you develop with yourself when you connect with yourself first thing in the morning and you say like, hey, how are you? I've got you. You did well. Or you call yourself out and you immediately know what to do next.
Sure. It keeps you in check.
Yeah, that's a great technique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You try to use it. Most people won't be able to look at themselves for more than 5 minutes.
I couldn't the first time.
Yeah.
First time I noticed myself, I didn't recognize myself. I'll never forget that moment. I look into my eyes and I'm like, who is that? When I worked with Simon, I'd go to the loo at night and I wouldn't look into the mirror because I couldn't recognize who I'd see. Sometimes just the eyes, not the face. I understood where it came from and what happened, but a lot of people will experience this.
Yeah.
We're not taught to look at ourselves. That's the most basic thing, right?
They're very important.
Yeah. And that's where loneliness and the void comes from. It can't be filled by anyone external when you're not connected to yourself, right?
Yeah, I guess.
This is my discovery. I don't fight loneliness anymore. It's more like a fundamental human experience to me.
But I think being alone is very beautiful.
Yeah.
I think it's the most beautiful thing, because being alone doesn't necessarily mean that you're lonely.
Yeah.
Right? Being alone means that you have not got influenced or corrupted by society. That is what being alone is, where none of that matters.
Yeah.
And you can be on your own and you're self-sufficient. You don't need anybody. And you really enjoy your own company. I think that is great. It's the best place to be.
It's a superpower,
Yeah,
right?
it
To
is.
just be rooted and grounded within yourself.
Yeah.
Did you feel lonely when you married to Dhruv?
Oh, wow.
Or
I think, you see, of course, I think the loneliest I've ever felt is when alone, not alone, lonely. Okay, is when I was not connected with myself the way I am today, and my marriage was not working out, and it's sad because I think love is not like everything in life is not constant. You know, we are not constant. We are constantly changing, and sometimes in that change, one doesn't grow or change well together.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think that was maybe the darkest phase of my life, because at that point in time was exactly the time my mom had cancer and I was losing her. I was losing everybody who was close to me. I had lost my father 3 years before that. I, was losing friends. I was losing everything. So that I had worked so hard to get. And when you lose everything, there's only one thing that is left in front of you, and that is pure introspection. You know, you can't do anything. You have to go back within yourself and understand, what have you become? Why has this happened? Okay. What are your faults?
No blame.
You can't blame. If you blame, you are going to become even more miserable, right? Because you are using that as a crutch to not introspect honestly.
And take autonomy, right? You're victimizing yourself.
Yeah, but you can't do that, because then what happens is you're going to fall into a vicious circle of dishonesty.
Correct.
The reason you've gone into that hole in the first place is because why is it all happening to you?
Yeah.
It is because you are not in sync with yourself. That is the only time things would go very, very wrong with you.
Yeah.
It is
Absolutely.
no karma, it is no curse, or there is no black magic or voodoo or anything that people will say to you. It's none of that. It is all got to do with you. You got to be strong enough to pick it up and say, yes, this is the parts where I was flawed. These are the parts where I was careless. These are the parts where I was insensitive. These were the parts where I went wrong. And I'm going to fix it. And so you work towards fixing those things within you. You work towards forgiving yourself. You work towards forgiving people who've done wrong to you. You work towards healing. And you can heal. And I was very lucky again. And I was lucky because I got somebody like a Gabriella into my life, who I think was a very strong anchor, and was also coming from a space of maybe a lot of darkness as well. And so we both were in the storm, and we had to, like, as I said, weather it. But it's good. We got to weather it together. And then the blessings came when the sun rose again, you know. Even though my mom passed, I got Arik, you know. And that was great joy. It was a blessing, you know. We had done a complete 180 check with us on our lives, okay, of certain ways and creating habits, rituals, disciplines, everything that would become
Realign you.
yeah, just absolutely, doing that. And it all works together again then. So you have to connect, and people don't believe, who don't believe in manifestation, who don't believe in there being a force that is way beyond you, an energy that you can connect with. And I would tell them start believing it because it does exist, you know, and you can, the miracles happen because you make them happen.
As you,
Because you make them happen.
because you make them happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So when you're open to experiencing a miracle and you're ready for it, it will happen. So make yourself ready for the miracle rather than just saying, oh, I hope for a miracle to happen. Hope is the action you've taken.
Yeah, it's not passive waiting.
No. Hope is when you've acted. Then to hope, yeah, this will happen to me, sure, it will. But if you have not done or moved in a direction where, and you just sit there hoping, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I also do believe that hope is not passive waiting. It's
Yeah.
actively moving towards your
Yes.
goal.
Yeah. So do that and it will happen. And yes, it'll still not everything going to be perfect, but
Yeah.
at least you can pull yourself out from a place like that. That was like, I think, the lowest of lows that I have ever experienced in my life. And I was literally like,
Rock bottom.
no, zero. Like, I had to start from scratch. You know what I mean? I had to rebuild everything all over again. And today I'm very grateful for all the blessings, big and small, that have come into my life in the form of, Gabriella, my daughters, my boys, all the new talent that I have met, associated with, are like-minded, and we've been able to create so much and be able to work in an environment which I'm the happiest when I'm making a movie, or when I'm filming, or when I'm working on a script. So to work with like-minded people, talented people, not being stuck in a status game. You know, what I mean by a status game is, which is very old and medieval way, or it's been there for a thing and it exists, especially like in politics, in sport, in our industry, okay, where it's a number game, like who's number one, who's number two, who's number three, and who's, thing, because you have to, somebody has to lose for you to win.
Yeah.
So the minute you pull yourself away from that, I think, so if you play the positive game, which is basically you look for people in the crowd, you find like-minded people, and you say, okay, now we can work together, and you make a great team, okay, and you say, let's go create something. That creativity you've already leveraged yourself, right? So there's accountability, there's leverage, there is skin in the game. So you have, there's risk, definitely, but there is a lot more.
There's growth, expansion.
I know, and there is a lot more to gain.
Yeah.
So that's how you make wealth. In this, you might get rich. But if you want to really create something wonderful and you have to enjoy it. If your heart is not in it and your soul is not in it and you're not enjoying it, really, don't waste your time doing it.
This is called traumatic growth, where you turn your adversity into something larger, into growth, into resilience, into expansion. Someone once
What is it called?
Traumatic growth.
Am I going through traumatic growth?
No. You went through traumatic growth.
Yeah,
You
okay.
transformed your adversity into growth, into expansion, into taking autonomy, into building resilience, into introspection. You intentionally pulled out gifts from it, from zero, and then grew. Right?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have had this growth if it hadn't been for the trauma.
And if it hadn't been playing a positive game,
The positive game.
the positive game is where you meet the like-minded person. I meet Gabriella,
Yes. Yeah.
right? I meet these other creators, okay, who want to work with me.
Yeah.
And we are like, oh, okay, we can do this.
Correct.
And suddenly, there's movement,
Yeah.
and you are coming out of the dark clouds and the sun is beginning to peep out again
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
you. And now you kind of work towards that
Yeah.
and make it happen.
Yeah.
So, yes. And like I said, so the hope was the action that you take, and then the miracle is the people who come and start aligning with you, which is also your manifestations, which is also the energy that you're putting out there now. So you're attracting like-minded people. You're finding them because you're open to find them,
Yeah.
and you're not stuck with in the status game, which can make you aggressive, which can make you volatile, which can make you, like a warrior. You just want to fight and you want to win and you want to win and you want to win just to hold on to that thing, because the sum of that is zero. It's going to get you nowhere.
Yeah. So this is something that someone has told me, that don't focus on beating someone, focus on winning. Focus on becoming a better person, a stronger person, or a successful person within your own capacity. Don't keep your eyes on the other person. How do I beat him or her?
So that's the status game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
But that's
this-
there. It exists. And I mean, people do follow that. And
Yeah.
it works for a lot of people to that extent. But does that make you happy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think the happiness comes with that.
It
Because
doesn't.
it brings anxiety, it brings,
Revenge.
it brings all kinds of emotions which you kind of get addicted to.
Yeah. This was said to be by my husband before we split. And today we share a beautiful relationship as co-parents, great friends. I've had my own experience of love, what happens to love after a marriage breaks. I think mine grew after we split. I see him very differently now, and he sees me too. Our relationship has evolved beautifully. I also want to know from you, what do you think happens to love after a marriage breaks?
See, when it's breaking, for me, the most important thing was about protecting them, right?
The kids.
The kids and Meher, okay, was to make sure that whatever happens with dignity,
Yes.
which happens amicably,
Yes.
that they are safe. But it's difficult because we do get damaged.
Of course.
And it's a lot of time and years spent together, which, you decided to close this chapter in your life. And you hope to repair and, regroup and make it all good again. And, we think it's not going to be the same, obviously, but you try your best. So I think it's always going to be work in progress.
Yeah.
As parents, I think children should realize that the only place that they will receive unconditional love is from a parent.
Yeah.
I know that because I lost my parents. Losing a parent, nothing can prepare you for it.
Can't.
Nothing can prepare you, right? It hits you, and it hits you really, really hard.
It does.
Because that person who you could ever, whatever time, whatever it is, pick up the phone and speak to that person and tell them ki, just one word you want to hear them, beta, don't worry, sab theek ho jayega. Okay? You don't worry about it. We are there now. They are not there now. And it's devastating. That is like the worst thing. So, and unfortunately, what ends up happening with a lot of relationships, especially in today's time, is children drift now. I drifted, sometimes away from my parents. I wish I had done a lot more for them. When they're gone, you're like, damn, I should have done so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not that I did a lot, but it wasn't, I just feel that wasn't enough.
It's never
You know,
enough.
yeah, and I feel that for children, they should just know that. And if they can view parents, like when I think of my parents now, I said, what were they? They were just grown up, damaged children, with all those experiences that they've gone through in life. They didn't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. So if we can look at our parents as they've gone through a lot themselves,
Human.
They have, I came from a split home. My parents were separated at that time, which was a big taboo at that point.
Yeah.
But my mom was very strong and she really, really pulled us through and supported me and my sister and everything through everything. And so obviously, I wanted to do everything for her, which I think I did achieve to a large extent. And as I said, I wish I'd done a lot more. But when you come from broken homes, that person whose home got broken, the father and mother, they've sworn at some point in time, we will be there forever for each other. We're going to bring a family together. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. They had their dreams. Those dreams got shattered. Okay? When your marriage broke, your dreams of certain things were shattered. Somewhere
100%.
down the line, it has damaged you.
Of course it has.
Okay? Similarly to me, or for anybody who's gone through that kind of an experience. And therefore, I tell people, whatever it is, even if you're in a family which is fine, great, okay, but not everybody is damaged. Somebody is hurting somewhere. So to be sensitive, be kind, and not drift away. Because tomorrow you never know, life is so uncertain.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens to whom? You don't want to be stuck with guilt or remorse of any kind, especially when it comes to a parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And
I
even
think-
as a parent, right? Even as a parent, you don't want to be stuck with guilt or remorse towards your
Toward-
children.
towards your children or towards anybody. So you do not want to be stuck like that, So just be there. See, parents are always going to love their child unconditionally.
Yeah.
Tomorrow your child goes and commits whatever crime, okay, does something really wrong. Might not agree with it, but you will still go and say, chalo yaar,
Period.
we have
Yeah.
to be there for them,
Correct.
right? You
And
brought
both
them into
parents
this
need
world.
to show up separated or not, right?
Yeah.
For that one child.
Of course, they will be there.
Yeah.
And that's the unconditional love. Children should realize that.
Correct. Yeah.
See, what they have when they have parents is a huge blessing. Okay, the day you're orphaned, you have no idea.
Yeah.
You have nobody.
Who don't.
Nobody like that to support you. So that's a huge anchor that gets uprooted when you lose your parents.
Yeah.
So be good to them. Be kind to them. Go hug them. Forgive them. Take their drama. Take their eccentricities. They've gone through a lot.
And dismantle that idol that we've created that our parents are perfect or gods or know everything.
Or what parents also are trying to emote to you, right? Or want you to think of them as, let it be, give it to them. You know what I mean? Give it to them. It's no big deal.
Correct.
You don't have to judge it again.
It's so simple.
Yeah, it's very simple. Keep it real. Keep it basic. Hug them, love them. Okay? And you will see what a beautiful relationship will come out of that.
Yeah. You carry masculinity with such grace. Everything that you have shared with me, there is vulnerability, even strength. What, according to you, is masculinity? Do you think it is strength display? Is it role based? or is it an integration of everything?
Oh, wow. I've never thought of masculinity,
Men don't cry.
Yeah, it's difficult. Yes. I think that's
I'm not
something.
saying men should not cry.
No, but
It's a
I cry.
cliche.
No, they do cry, but that happens when they're paying the bills. So, but
That's okay. They're allowed to cry while doing that.
But I think that is something which is flawed in men. I think that comes from damaged upbringing again, where you cannot express yourself and you keep everything internally and you cannot emote. I am very bad at it. Okay, Gabriella is the one who's tells me, you should speak your mind out and your heart out.
You are.
Okay, and
You are speaking your heart out. I don't see any
yeah,
block.
no, but like I know, like when it comes to certain things which have become personal, and then within the family, you don't want to say, oh, this is the stress I'm going through, or this is the thing
Okay.
that I'm going through, which a man is also going through, right? They hold it within themselves. I think it's important to have those discussions and to be honest about it and to put it out on the table because it's pent up energy. And when a man will explode, it will come out obviously in a way which I'm sure even they don't want it to come out.
Anger.
Yeah, in anger or, you say certain things and, it would just be hurtful. So, I think it's important to bring that. That's something even I'm working on. But I think men should speak it out calmly and easily and say, okay, these are the situations we're going through right now. We figure it out, okay, but we need to get it sorted and take everybody into confidence, which men don't do.
I think it also has a lot to do with the fact that men are in general not given the space to express their vulnerability or their emotions. You think it's because they're just forced to rationalize it away?
Yes, maybe, or maybe that we just told that you are the provider, you have to provide, you have to put it all out there. You are the person who's going to go and do everything, which is again a very primitive way of thinking, but that has been our conditioning, and we've accepted it. We don't go and whine about it or try to, find excuses. There are no such thing as you can find excuses for. You have to go and you have to do it. And that's the way you've been brought up, which I said is damaged upbringing, where, I think in today's day and age, I think women, the way they are also, you can confide in them and tell them. And I think my grandparents used to be like that. They had a great marriage, both of them. They would keep whispering into each other's ears all the time, something or the other. Yeah. Yeah, and they would be like, it's okay, don't worry. This will happen. We'll
It's so
sort it out.
comforting to have that
Yeah,
with your
to have
partner.
that companion. And I think that's what a marriage is about. And, you shouldn't lose that.
Do you plan on changing this damaged upbringing that you were speaking about with your boys?
I don't know what the world's going to be like, when they grow up. All I can teach them is to live their life in the most honest way that they can, and that means in all departments. If it is in a relationship, if it is at work, if it is with themselves, if it is, in anything that you do, just be real about it and honest about it. If you're having a bad day, call it a bad day. If it's a good day, call it a good day. Don't pretend. Don't need to fake it for anybody.
At least be true to yourself emotionally and be vulnerable with yourself.
Or with others also, if you have to be vulnerable, if you could trust that person, then sure. But again, judgment there is very important.
Correct.
Where I'm not saying being judgmental,
Yeah.
I'm saying judgment.
Choose
or
wisely.
Choose to say,
Yeah.
yes, this person is a great confidant, or this person is a great partner in a business, or this person would be a great partner in marriage, or, all those things. Think it out.
Or will not exploit my emotional expression.
Yes, that too. And so spend time with that and then make a decision. Don't jump to things very easily. I think that's been a big problem in a lot of people in life in general. We don't think it out. We don't take time out again to think it out. I think that's critical, and in every department.
Lovely. Your journey has had its share of cancelled to crowned. You've hit rock bottom. You've built yourself back up again. You've introspected. You're working towards discovering yourself more and more every day. And to me, that's crowning in its true sense, to keep connecting to yourself.
Thank you.
What is the thing about your crowning that's closest to your heart?
I think just being able to fearlessly press that reset button,
Yeah.
and not worry about what people think, what's going to happen, or whatever. When you're going to press that reset button, you're going to make sure that nothing bad is going to happen to anybody you truly love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and whatever's going to come out now is just going to be better. So to have that faith in yourself and be able to, without fear, press that button, I
can
think
see
has
that.
been
Yeah.
the move.
We are held back by our fear and external validation both. Right? What will people say?
I don't give a shit.
Nor do I.
Yeah.
It's one of the most baseless, futile things that exist. People's opinions. They don't have the right to cancel you or me or anyone.
Yeah, who's to cancel
Yeah.
me? Like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Who are you?
Nobody can cancel me. No.
Absolutely. And I don't want to cancel myself,
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
That ambulance is for all the people who tried to cancel me.
I'll also put in a few people. If you had to give hope to the listeners today, give a Arjun anchor, a special Arjun Rampal anchor that dismantles their fear, their irrational beliefs, and pulls them out of their comfort zone. What would you say?
Let me think. Let's see. I mean, whoever's watching this and is listening, and if it is going to help them, I would just say one thing, and that is that human beings are designed to be creative. Find out. So if it is science, commerce, politics, whatever it is,
Yeah.
history will only remember the artist. So become the artist. And in whatever you do.
And it's never too late.
Become the artist, paint your own canvas, and while you're painting it, enjoy it for every bit of what it's worth, and make sure you make a great painting.
Lovely. That is so beautiful. I hope the audiences quickly pick up their brushes and start painting their lives, because that's all we truly have. at the end of the day. And I want to close with, if all the lights were off, nobody could see us right now, and or you were alone in this room, and you had to say one thing about yourself, for yourself, not as a father, not as a son, not as the icon you are, not as a husband, just your soul, your human soul, what would you say?
What I say to myself every day. It's very simple.
And that is,
You have been given a life, which is the most beautiful thing in the world. What are you doing with it?
yeah, that's a great thought to leave our listeners with. What are you doing with your life? Thank you so much for that, Arjun. I absolutely enjoyed talking to you, diving
No,
into
likewise.
your beautiful mind
Thank you.
and knowing more of you. Thank you for sharing everything you did. I am taking a lot back home with me, especially from your mum.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure. And I'm going to read your book.
Yes, please do.
Yeah,
I would love to hear back from you.
definitely.
Yeah.
And good luck with this podcast and everything that you're doing. And
Thank you.
let's destroy all the people who want to cancel
Yeah,
you.
let's do that. We just had an ambulance passing. This is a self-love card, and it encourages you to do something for yourself and then pass it on to the next person and encourage them to do something for themselves and create a chain of self-love.
Oh, wow. Great.
Create your own canvas.
Yeah, the long walk is right. I go for a long run. It sorts me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to get back to it.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now I give this to somebody who needs it, or like I feel?
Just to encourage someone, to remind them to come back to themselves and do a small little
Yeah, it's really
action
lovely.
to
Yeah.
love yourself and not forget yourself. We forget ourselves in the process of life.
True.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sohini.
And this is a little gesture from us, gesture of gratitude.
I get a hamper
Congratulate
and
you
all.
on your crowning and the life that you've lived
Oh, wow.
and the resilience that you have shown,
Yeah.
fearlessly pressing the restart button. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.